TII Item 431, June 14th, 2017, iOS 10.3.3, Beta 3.
Welcome to Today in iPhone.
I like it a lot.
Today in iPhone.
Hey, Google!
Oh, yeah.
My beautiful iPhone, which I never have out of my hand and that I do everything with and has become an extension of who I am.
Today's episode is brought to you by Storyworth. For $20 off, visit storyworth.com/TII. Today's episode is brought to you by Bombfell. Visit bombfell.com/TII to get $25 off your first purchase. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Rob, and you are listening to the Today in iOS podcast. First up, I want to thank Jim for sending in the artwork for today's show. Jim wrote the following. Hi, Rob, longtime listener. I am an American, originally living in the U.S., then expat, lived in Netherlands for 5 years, and now currently in my second year in Hong Kong. Also happy to share that you have finally inspired me to learn to code. I'm a marketer by trade, and I'm just starting down the path to learn Swift. Keep up the good work. Regards, Jim S. Well, thanks, Jim, for sending in this artwork. And folks, you can see Jim's artwork in the free TI app via the bonus button for episode 431 or at Instagram.com/TodayInIOS and also Facebook.com/TodayInIOS. Jim's picture continues to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the TII show and the iPhone. Please, when taking a picture of yourself in front of your local Apple store, if at all possible, make it a square picture. Sorry, Jim, I got to stretch you a little on this one, as I have to make them square for iTunes. And put the Apple Store location on the photo along with the TII or Today in iOS branding, which Jim did. Good job, Jim. Thanks to the many of you that have already sent in photos. As always, send those pics to todayinios@gmail.com. And also, if you have some music you've created on an iOS device that you would like to share with the audience, please email it to me at that same address. And make sure to include which app or apps you used to create said music. This week, we have promo codes for the app Lionsphere. Here is the written, or are the written, review and comments from the dev. Hello, Rob. Please take a look at our challenging and unique 3D puzzle, Lionsphere. It's inspired by the most popular toy of all time, Rubik's Cube. But in this puzzle, you have to solve the sphere, colored in 2, 4, or 8 colors. The game features realistic 3D graphics, meditative music, intuitive controls, and worldwide player rankings, and has very interesting history. The puzzle is more difficult to solve than Rubik's Cube because human vision is easier to perceive square objects than the sphere. Features realistic 3D graphics, intuitive controls, meditative music. Choose the difficulty level, solve spheres colored in 2, the easiest, 4, or 8 colors. See how you rank against other players in worldwide rankings with details, your time, best time, and number of moves. Regards, Lionsphere team. Well, thanks to the devs for their comments about their app, Lionsphere, and for sending in the promo codes giveaway. Folks, if you would like a chance for a promo code for this app, send an email to todayinios@gmail.com and put Lion in the subject line. A quick reminder, if you are an app dev or an iBook author, email me if you want your app or iBook featured in the promo giveaway segment for free. We just need the 5 promo codes or more to give away. Simply email me at todayinios@gmail.com. Please include a 60-second or less audio review of your app or iBook indicating you are the dev or the author. Also, when sending in the promo codes, please make sure to let me know when they expire. For anybody that tried to send me an email between June 7th and June 14th and got my mailbox full error, I apologize. I had somehow accidentally turned on Google Photos for the wrong Gmail account or Google account, and that was the one with my Today in iOS instead of turning it on to my Today in iPhone, which is the one I use for my Google Fiber, which gives me a terabyte of storage. And it would have happened. So unfortunately, for about a week there, I had a full mailbox. I think I fixed it on the 14th. So if you tried to send me anything between the 7th and the 14th, please resend it because I did not get it if you had sent it to todayinios@gmail.com. And now let's get into the news. Okay, not all betas are about iOS 11 at this time. There is also iOS 10.3.3 betas, and we just had it update to beta 3 on June 13th. Yep, just bug fixes and optimizations. Shocker. Nothing of note in the dev forums so far. 10.3.3 betas, 1, 2, and 3 have all been yawn-inspiring. And you cannot just have one beta update. You need more. as in watchOS 3.2.3 Beta 3. And you can't just have one boring beta update. You need more boring updates. And watchOS 3.2.3 Beta 3 brings nothing of note. And that leaves us with tvOS. And yes, it too updated to tvOS 10.2.2 Beta 3. And again, nothing exciting to announce. Seems Apple is just turning and churning on these updates. Nothing of interest in any of the dev forums for any of the 3 betas I talked about. So maybe next time we'll have some information on a beta update for iOS 11. One interesting note about tvOS beta is that Apple is saying for tvOS 11 beta that they will do a public beta for those. At least Apple is saying, quote, iOS 11, macOS High Sierra, and tvOS 11 public betas are coming soon, unquote. Sounded like public betas would kick off at the end of June from their comments in the WWDC keynote, just in time for people to hastily install and then Apple to go on 4th of July break. Nothing bad could possibly happen there. This next segment is for all podcasters and those really into podcasting. If that's not you, jump ahead around 8 minutes. James O'Boggs, the head of Apple's podcast team, led the Apple podcast presentation at WWDC on Friday the 9th, and there were some big announcements. First, James went over some numbers. In 2016, Apple, quote, served up over 10 billion episode downloads and stream plays globally. Stream plays are downloads from your Libsyn stats as well, so if you happen to be a Libsyn user. They showed a graph of this, and according to the graph, the actual number was 10.59 billion downloads in 2016. Last year, Libsyn served up 4.6 billion downloads globally, of which well over 60% were to iTunes and the podcast app, and that means well over 25% of all those 10.59 billion downloads, stream plays, were delivered from Libsyn servers. Yay, indie podcasters. The 10.59 billion was up about 20% from 2015. Other interesting facts Apple gave: 400,000 plus podcasts now populate the iTunes podcast store. The number Apple has in their directory that they consider active. Now, let me just say this. Active doesn't really mean active. It just means the RSS feed is still alive. So probably 200,000, 250,000 at the most are actually releasing new episodes on a regular basis. That said, over 1,000 new shows are submitted each week. Those 400,000 plus podcasts have over 14 million episodes, mostly audio, and Apple Podcasts are available in 155 countries. After the State of Podcast section, Apple then went over the new tags they introduced that will work with the updated podcast app that is coming in iOS 11 this fall to the public. Okay, actually, they showed off the podcast app and then went over the tags, but this is more about podcasters, so I'm going to just talk right about those tags. First, I should point out, almost all these updates have to do with shows that have seasons, more serialized content. This means you, as a podcast creator, can have a collection of episodes as a season. You can choose how episodes are ordered and recommended to listeners. If you are doing seasons, new subscribers get the full current season added to the library once they subscribe. I should say channel level tags are those you would think of at the show level, and an item level tag are episode levels. So think of Seinfeld as a show, Bubble Boy as an episode in the Seinfeld show. With that in mind, let's talk about some of the tags. The first new tag is at the channel level, and it is iTunes type, where it is either episodic or serial. Episodic is the default, and serial is where you are having the seasons or a season and want episode 1 up at the top. When you choose, say, serial, it puts the oldest episode up top for the current season. If you choose episodic, it remains as it is currently, new episodes up top. So this show is episodic, and the newest episode will be at the top. And again, this won't apply to this show. The next new tag is iTunes Seasons. This is at the item level. It is a simple number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. And well, it represents your show season. If you have one season, it does not display a season number. One thing not covered is if you choose episodic in seasons. For example, you have a podcast that covers a TV show and you want it to be in seasons just like the show, but you don't want it to be oldest first, but episodic, which is newest first. And I'm assuming that will be okay to do that. And from what I can read, it seems it will be. That would be, for example, you're covering Game of Thrones, and as the new episodes are released in the season 7, it would be, as they come out, that would be the most recent one up top, which is the way you want it. iTunes episodes type is the next tag at the item level, and you have 3 choices: full, trailer, or bonus. Full is the default, and it is, well, just what most podcasters normally do. Trailer is a short trailer for your show or the next season or another show in your network. And bonus is some extra content, like the segment code that I could break this whole segment out I'm talking about here, and I could have made this bonus content. They said the GUID tag is new tag, but it's not. It's already there, and I think they were just wanting to emphasize the importance of the GUID tag and not to change it. They mentioned don't change it even when changing hosts. You'll be happy to know that if you ever move to Libsyn, we will import your feed from your old host and copy over your GUID tag and clone it. So really, for anyone that is looking to use Libsyn, this was a non-issue. You're already covered. Apple also added the iTunes summary tag at the item level. This is a summary string, single sentence, containing just that single descriptive sentence of what that episode's about. No HTML, no C data, or any other formatting. Just plain text, single sentence description of that episode. And finally, there is the content encoded tag added at the item level. It is an episode note where encoded is a string containing information about your episode. This is the description of your episode with formatting. More on that over on the feed. If you want to listen to the feed, we'll talk about that in the future. They then went over a new show and how it would be created and talked about artwork, and once again blew it when they said keep your artwork under 1 meg. It really should be under 500 kilobytes. That is the limit that we see that breaks iTunes. Then in the presentation, Apple released the biggest news. Apple will be reporting back stats to you, the podcaster. Podcast Analytics is what it'll be called, and it will be available later this year. Quote, you'll be able to see how much of your podcast episodes are played and when on Apple Podcasts. Compare the performance of your episodes and podcasts over time and see which parts of your episodes are more interesting than others. Are people skipping over the extended music intro or your second mid-roll? We are doing this in a way that respects user privacy, aggregating usage data rather than sharing individual events. Analytics are not tied to individual Apple IDs, and users can reset their identifier at any time, unquote. They are not answering questions or talking about it at this time as it's still in development. Apple will get you stats, they will be aggregated, and there will not be individual download event metrics as far as each individual event. I am surprised Apple is reporting back stats, but very happy. I am not surprised it is aggregated, as it is still going to protect user privacy. I will talk more on future episodes about Apple Analytics once I have more info from Apple I can share. Per the new Apple tags, do not worry about those right now if you host Libsyn, as Libsyn will be adding support to them. Plus, those new tags are not going to really matter until iOS 11 launches as public beta at the end of June. And right now, the only ones that have access to iOS 11 are just the devs. Apple's annual design award winners for 2017 are, for games, well, there were 5 winners. First is Old Man's Journey, $4.99. It's described as a story game about life's precious moments, broken dreams, and changed plans, or what most people would call their first marriage. Second is Splitter Critters. It's $2.99, described as split the world with a swipe of your finger and then rearrange it to guide critters back to their spaceship. Third is Mushroom 11, $4.99, described as life struggles to gain a foothold in a devastated world and new life forms emerge from the rubble. Fourth is Severed. Severed. Not served, severed. Big difference. $2.99 in the store. described as take control of a one-armed warrior named Shasha wielding a living sword on her journey through a nightmare world in search of her family. And fifth is Black Box, Think Outside the Box, which is free with in-app purchases, described as one of iOS's top puzzle games. They had 7 other winners in other categories. In the food and drink category, the winner was Kitchen Stories, free with an in-app purchase, described as adding the whole world of cooking to your pocket, find recipes with pictures, easy to follow step-by-step instructions, and more. In the photo and video section, we have Enlight, E-N-L-I-G-H-T. It's $3.99, described as it's every photo app you've ever needed, wanted, or dreamed of combined into one powerful, beautifully designed photo editor. In the lifestyle section, winner was Lake De-Stress Therapy, free with in-app purchases, and is described as de-stress with a vibrant collection of coloring books from Instagram artists offered exclusively on Lake. In the travel, there is Elk Travel Currency, free with an in-app purchase, and is described as the fastest way to convert currencies on your trips. And the remaining 3 apps that won were all productivity. First up, there is Things 3, not to be confused with Things 1 and Things 2. Things 3 will run you 3 nines, as in $9.99, and is described as 1, collect your thoughts, 2, get organized, 3, plan your time, 4, make the most of your day, and 5, customize your workflow. Also in productivity, we have Bear, free with an in-app purchase, and is described as a beautiful, flexible writing app for crafting notes, prose, code, and now sketches. And finally, in productivity, we have Airmail, your mail with you, and is described as a powerful mail client for Mac that is now available for iPhone and iPad. Look for the link titled Apple App Design Winners 2017 in the show notes for episode 431 over at todayios.com. And of course, congrats to all the winners. I want to thank Storyworth for sponsoring today's episode. I was an actual Storyworth customer back Christmas when I purchased this for my father. Storyworth is where they will send you or someone you choose a different question each week for a year. And then at the end of the year, they'll pull it all together and make a very nice hardcover printed book with the answers. My dad will be 80 years old in July, and back for Christmas, this was one of the gifts I gave him. And it has been fun watching the questions come in as I'm copied on the questions. What are your favorite toys as a child was one. My dad's always plays the I was so poor as a kid card. I can imagine his answer is going to be, I had an empty tin can with a rock in it. It'll be interesting to see what he actually says on that one. My dad was not the most talkative growing up, not because he's not talkative, because mostly he just didn't want to interrupt my mom, who is very talkative. So some of my dad's past is not as clear to me as my mom's, per se. Plus, he lives in New York and I live in Kansas, and my kids don't get as much access to their grandpa as we would really like. This book will be great in teaching them a bunch about their grandfather, things I'm sure I don't even know about when I read this. When my dad answers these questions, he has 2 options. He can either send them via email or he can phone in the answers. My dad's not the best typist, so he's been phoning it in. You also can upload photos for the book, and there's a place for you to do all the editing. When the questions are done and the hardcover book is ready, I plan on not just getting 1 copy for the house. I plan on that you get when you sign up. I'm going to get some extra copies as well. I'm going to get for his other grandchildren and an extra one for my 2 sons. And then they can pass them on to great-grandkids and great-great-grandkids. Matter of fact, I might even get 4, so my kids will have 2 each to pass down if they have multiple kids. If you have not picked out a gift for your father for Father's Day, I highly, highly recommend you get this for your dad. Even if you have finished your shopping, get this for your dad. This is a great legacy book that will be passed on to future generations. Go to storyworth.com/TII to save $20 off the purchase price. That means the book and the year of weekly questions is just $59. That is a great price for the best Father's Day gift you're going to be able to give this year, or anyone's going to give to your father this year. Again, go to storyworth.com/TII to save $20. It's always fun when you get a sponsor comes in that you're already a customer of. One of my wish lists for iOS 11 made it in, and that is adding more feature controls to the AirPods. You can now choose for your right AirPod when you do a double tap to call up Siri or to play pause or do next track or do previous track or nothing at all. And you can do the same for the left. For example, your left ear could be double tap to play pause and your right ear could be double tap to skip to the next track. Now they just need to add triple tap for volume up and triple tap for volume down. And speaking of AirPods, with the new version of tvOS 11 beta, AirPods automatically pair when using the same Apple ID, just like how they did for all iOS devices and Apple Watches. In tvOS 10.x, that was not the case. There was a long process to get them to work. When tvOS 11 is released, your AirPods should connect effortlessly. Other updates with tvOS 11 beta include home screen sync. Essentially, by turning this on, if you have multiple Apple TVs in your house, as if it's even a question, you can now keep the apps and icon layouts synced. So now when the kids move all their apps to the top of and move all your Netflix and HBO and AMC premium apps down to the bottom of the screen, for the Apple TV in the den, you're going to see that reflected in the bedroom on your Apple TV as well. Thanks, kids. Another new feature in tvOS 11 beta is automatic appearance switching. In tvOS 10, it added dark mode, but to switch between dark side and light side required manual intervention. Now the Apple TV will sense your feeling and switch as needed. Okay, it will just switch based on the time of day, but still, it'll do it automatically. Ever have an iOS device with a flaky power button? I have one, and it is not possible to turn off the device. Well, in iOS 11, that issue is addressed. Finally, go to Settings, then General, then scroll down, and below Reset, you will now see Shut Down. Shut up. Nope, tap it, and that is it. You're offered the standard slide turn off options. Thanks, Apple, because you know that feature was not overdue or anything. Of course, I should hold back on my snark a little. It is Beta 1, and in the past, we have seen good features in Beta 1 yanked in Beta 2. Actually, I'm not doing a deep dive on this episode for that exact reason. I will start to deep dive on iOS 11 when Beta 2 comes out. For this episode, it's more of a jump in the shallow end for iOS 11. Apple is making it easier with iOS 11 and watchOS 4 to make custom watch faces. There is a new share sheet option within Photos on the iPhone. Before, it was a little more complicated to get a pic of a photo that you wanted onto your watch face. With iOS 11, when in the Photo app and a picture is selected, you can select Create Watch Face, which, hint, lets you create a watch face quickly and easily with that photo. There are other improvements in iOS 11 with regards to watch faces and photos, such as making it easier to create a group of photos that rotate through on your watch face. One important accessibility feature added in iOS 11 is letting you type your request to Siri instead of voicing them. And it is also good for those that have an accent of some sort where Siri doesn't understand you all the time. Like when you try to say to Siri, play I Love Candy, and she responds,
I couldn't find I Love Kenny in your music.
To enable this great feature, go to Settings, General Accessibility, Siri, and toggle the switch, Type to Siri, to the on setting. This feature is also good for when you are somewhere where talking is not appropriate or proper, like library, church, or your kid's recital. Not that you would be on your iPhone in two of those situations. You pick the two. Here's another nice new feature in iOS 11. You can delete an app and it will retain its settings and data. So now if your kid installed an app on your phone and you accidentally, with quotes around accidentally, deleted it, you can go back and get the app reinstalled so they don't lose all their levels that they work so hard on to gain on your app, and you feel like a heel of a parent for accidentally deleting it. This option is called Offload App. Go to General, iPhone Storage, and select the app you want to remove, and then select Offload App. And then the app is removed, but the data and settings remain behind. If you want to delete everything, there is still an option, and it's called Delete App. This is a nice feature also for those of you sporting a 16, I should have listened to Rob and got more storage, gigabyte iOS devices. So yes, this will help you clear it up a little bit, but keep the data so if you have to bring that app back in the future, you're not starting from scratch. We mentioned on the last episode for iOS 11 that drag and drop was brought to the iPad, and now beta testers are saying it works with iPhones as well. You have to drag from one app directly to another, as there is no dock. But one place where you will see this used the most for iPhones is the Files app and Mail. You can put commonly attached docs that you send out in emails in your Files app, then drag them over to the emails you're working on. One article I read pointed out one issue with iOS 11, however, is that it is kind of getting confusing on what tap does what versus a tap and a hold. For example, a long tap and hold causes icons to wiggle around and be rearranged, but a medium tap and hold allows you to move around just that app. A medium tap brings up 3D Touch menu, and a quick tap opens the app. Yeah, explain those differences to your parents over the phone. Apple, when they announced the Files app, said it would work with on-device storage, iCloud storage, and third-party storage. According to Dropbox, per their support of the Files app, quote, more than that, though, it will extend file capabilities system-wide. You'll be able to access files in your Dropbox account from third-party apps just as if they were stored on your iPhone or iPad. This integration will even work with Dropbox-specific features for teams like commenting and viewer info, letting you collaborate on files from any app that supports file browsing, unquote. Others shown supporting on stage were Box.com and Google Drive. The Files app and drag and drop really, when combined, make an iPad Pro, for most people, a viable laptop replacement, finally. If you were looking for one of those newfangled, just updated iPad Pros, good news, they are at your local Apple store. Or might be, depending on the size, color, storage, and networking options that you're looking for. Hint, higher price and uglier colors are more likely in stock. And well, those murderers of iOS devices, known as iFixit, have gotten their mitts on one of the new iPad Pros, and here is what we learned. It's easy to open and repair and easy to upgrade memory and change out the processor. No, it's none of those things. Shocker. We did learn this time around the smaller iPad Pro is laid out and designed like the larger iPad Pro. Last time, the 9.7 iPad Pro was essentially the same layout as the 9.7-inch iPad Air. The battery in the 10.5-inch iPad Pro is 30.8 watt-hour battery, up from 27.91 watt-hours for the 9.7-inch iPad Pro. Oh, and per the repairability rating bestowed on the new iPad Pro, 2 out of 10. Hey, it's better than some iOS devices.
Hello, Rob. My name is Lynn. I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller. I am blind, and I really appreciate all of your voiceover tips. I am also an Apple specialist. And one thing that I wanted to know, I'm trying to find out if the new scanner on the iPad Pro is going to be voiceover accessible. So I understand that it is not OCR, but that it's an image. I think I heard you say that it is an image that VoiceOver will be able to read, which is the first time I've ever heard that. I'd really like to clarify if that's true. Really appreciate it, Rob. Thanks for what you do. Bye-bye.
Hi, Lynn. Thanks for the voicemail feedback. And no, I didn't say that it can read directly from the scan as far as read it out via VoiceOver. That's the short answer. A longer answer we're going to get to in a minute on how you can actually do that in a couple steps. And here's another question that came in. Hello, Rob. When scanning a paper document with the Notes app in iOS 11, does the app also perform an OCR scan at the same time? In other words, is it possible to turn paper documents into searchable digital ones with the app? Best regards, Kimo S. in Tampere, Finland. All right. So Lynn and Kimo, good news, bad news, good news, bad news, good news. Well, a combo here. Let's go through it. First, the scanning and alignment feature in iOS 11 is absolutely amazing. I've been using it all this week and last week to scan and then sign documents with my Apple Pen. I've used my Apple Pen more since WWDC last week than I've used in any other week in the past. So it really, really is easy to scan a document and have it aligned to look like you laid it on a flatbed scanner. And it's just a lot quicker to do it with the iPad Pro. Now, the bad news. It does not do scan and convert to text. It's an image file in a PDF, not a text in a PDF. Now, the good news. You can then share that scan to an app that does convert the PDF to text. You use the send button from the Notes app and then select the app that you want to convert to text to PDF with, and it's moved over easily. Now, the bad news. The apps that do a good job on this are not free or not fast. For example, I used the app PDF to Text Converter by come2docs.com, and it converted it for free, but it took about 60 minutes or so. If I upgrade, it will do it cheaper. We'll do it faster, but it's not free. So if you upgrade, it'll do it faster. Now, the worst news. Not all PDF to text apps actually will convert an image to text. One app, PDF to Text by Flying Bee Software, claims to convert PDF to text, the PDF cannot be an image. Well, that's kind of a waste. Right now, the only one I tested that worked and was free was PDF to Text Converter by come2docs.com. It took about 60 minutes for the conversion. Now back to good news. However, there is a solution for all this, what you want to do. It's a 2-app solution, but it is a solution. And the quote, lifetime of immediate conversions for that app I just mentioned, PDF to Text Converter by come2docs, is only $9.99. I can't vouch for how fast immediate is, as I only tried the free version. Again, that took 60 minutes or longer. But it did seem to do a good job on that conversion. And I think what you're going to find in the near future, especially when iOS 11 finally gets released, you're going to see more and more apps coming out that have this capability and that are better and better and cheaper. So we're going to see more apps in this field that'll make this whole process a lot easier. But the scan that Apple does and then rearranging and getting the proportions right after you do the scan, phenomenal job on Apple's part. Hello, Rob. In iOS 11, have you noticed your drag icons around the screen and into folders without the home screen going into wiggle mode? You tap and hold and the app icon, and as soon as it becomes transparent, move it somewhere else and drop it, and then tap any app and it opens. If you tap and hold on icon longer, then the X appears and the icons start wiggling. Regards, Stephen. Well, thanks, Stephen, for the heads up. And we kind of mentioned earlier that's going to be really confusing. It's something to take a little bit of getting used to. Back to the email bag. Hi, Rob. Loving the smart invert feature. Not having to triple tap nearly as much. Only major glitch in so far has been in the Simpsons tapped out on iPhone 7 Plus. That is. Excited about syncing over all my devices. Per AirPods, I noticed that my AirPods sounded louder after I updated to iOS 11, or maybe it was just me. Really hoping that the Serato DJ on Mac gains access to the Apple Music library, and very happy boy who quickly put iOS 11 on his iPad Air 2. HomePod, the name was a bit of a letdown, but if the name originally translated into corresponding profits, Apple's keynotes would be quite different. I'll be getting one, maybe even 2 of the HomePods when they're available in 2018. So much for being in the 51st state. Amazon, I have to wonder if Amazon has warmed up to Apple because the HomePod clearly won't try to threaten the Echo or their Dot. That is all for now. Regards, Shane. Well, thank you, Shane, for that feedback.
Hi, Rob. This is Tammy. I'm calling referencing Joe's call in episode 429 where he referenced my issue with the corrupt iTunes backup on his Windows 10 PC. And I had the same issue, and the error message said that the backup was corrupt and to delete it and back up again, which I was hesitant to do. But I finally bit the bullet and did it, and then restarted iTunes, and then the backup went fine after that. as far as getting the photos out of the encrypted file, there are third-party programs that will do that. Just do a Google search. I think they're $30 or $40. Thanks. Love the show. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Cammie, for that feedback. I want to thank Bombfell for sponsoring the show. If you go to bombfell.com/TII, you'll get $25 off your first purchase. Bombfell is an online personal stylizing service for men that helps find the right clothes for you. Fully personalized, every piece has been handpicked for you by your own dedicated stylist. Bombfell scours menswear's collections of the brands and designers from around the world and sends you pieces from those collections that work best for you. Your stylist will email you their selections, after which you have 48 hours to make any changes or even cancel altogether. You are in total control. No hidden fees or gotchas. It is a simple, straightforward service. Bombfell is on your side. They don't make any money if you don't find something you want to keep, so they are really good at finding things you want to keep. And you only pay for what you keep. There is no charge to send items back. The Bombfell service is completely flexible. Push up, delay, or skip shipments anytime. You are not locked into any time frame on your next shipment. My experience with their service was great. To set up your account, you simply pick your shape, your size, your style. Okay, picking my shape was not so great, but it was easy. And here is the key. You pick your price points for the different type items. You have all the clothing options you would ever need: shirt, shorts, jeans, slacks, jackets, belts, socks, and more. And here's the best part. Your stylist sends you an email with the pictures of what they selected for you. This is not some mystery shipment that when you open it up, you go, yeah, who killed the 70s and put it in a box? No, this is a service where you see what is coming to you first, and you can say nope and have them suggest something else before they ever ship it out, which is what I actually did. I just took a look and I said, the shirt's not right for me. And then they gave me another one. I was like, ooh, that one is. You are in control. And once the items come, it was just a matter of making sure they all fit great, which they did. And I also received a great pair of jeans. My stylist nailed it on the jeans. Thank you. I am picky with jeans. I received my items 2 months ago, and everything is holding up great. No issues at all. I love the new jeans. I love the new shirt. I've worn it many times. Again, for $25 off your first purchase, go to bombfell.com/TII. That's BOMBFELL.com/TII for that $25 discount on your first order. Thanks, Bombfell, for sponsoring the show and putting literally the clothes on my back. Random tip time. If you have an older iOS device with Touch ID and want it to recognize your finger faster, register the same finger for multiple different entries. You can register 5 different fingers, 5 different entries. If you almost always use the same finger to unlock your device, register it for 2 or 3 of those entries. This is more of a trick for older iOS devices, iPhone 5S and 6 Plus. Those are the ones where it's actually noticeable. It's really not noticeable at all with the iPhone 7 Plus. But if you have an iPhone 5S or 6 Plus, and you want it to recognize your finger a little bit quicker, register your finger, register it again, and you'll see a quicker opening and registration of that finger when you apply it. Interesting article from Johnny Lynn on Medium that was picked up by many different outlets. He points out some apps in the iOS App Store with in-app purchases that may be playing off the new app ads option and then gaming their apps that offer really no practical value for a lot of money. Quote, the number 10 grossing productivity app as of June 7th, 2017 was an app called Mobile Protection, Clean and Security VPN. Full from the app itself, description, quote, full virus malware scanner. What? Unquote there. What? I'm pretty sure it's impossible for any app to scan my iPhone for viruses or malware since third-party apps are sandboxed to their own data. But let's keep reading. You'll pay $99.99 for a 7-day subscription. Buried on the third line in a paragraph of text in small font, iOS casually tells me that laying my finger on the home button means I agree to start a $100 subscription. Unquote. Wow. Ouch. Oh my. Yikes. Pick any of those. So here is what the spammy devs are doing in a few words, according to Chance Miller over at 9to5Mac. Quote, 1, offering apps such as virus scanners and password managers. 2, free download with in-app purchase for outrageously expensive prices. 3, gaming search ads to be at the top of common search queries such as virus scanner. 4, offering users virus scanning services for $99 a week. And 5, profit $80,000 a month to $960,000 per year for seemingly doing nothing, unquote. Seems like a good business model, but unethical. Folks, please don't try this one at home or in the App Store. Many have reached out to Apple for comments on this issue, so they know about it and they know it's public. Hopefully, they are working hard to bring down the ban hammer on these highly unethical devs. This is not an issue to be looked at lightly. It is a major issue, and Apple needs to act swiftly and harshly on those that abuse their users. That is one of the reasons we pay a premium to be in the Apple ecosystem. If you have Apple's music streaming subscription, Planet of the Apps is now available for you. If you don't have it, tough. The first episode went up last Tuesday, and new episodes go up each Tuesday at 9 p.m. I'm assuming that's Pacific time. If you have watched it, give us a call, 206-666-6364. That's 206-MOON-DOG. Or send an email to todayios@gmail.com and let us know your thoughts. When the Google Pixel came out last year, people were calling it the first iPhone killer from Google. And I said, quote, it's really the 9th or 10th first real iPhone killer from Google. Or put another way, yawn, unquote. That was back on episode 409. I totally dismissed it and said it would have no impact on the iPhone. Well, a new report just came out and said, based on data from Google Play, it suggests that the Pixel just recently crossed the 1 million unit sales mark, a mere 8 months after the release. Ouch. Ouch. We're talking BlackBerry-esque numbers, and not 2004 BlackBerry. We're talking 2017 BlackBerry-esque numbers. To put it in perspective how bad that was, conservative estimates when it launched had demand for it in the 3 to 4 million range just for the first, or that first 3 months, that last quarter of 2016 alone. They were estimating it would sell 3 to 4 million units. It took over 8 months just to get to 1 million units. And Justin, if you're listening, be grateful I never played that voicemail I have from you about the Pixel.
Hey, Rob, it's Laura in Nashville. I was calling to comment on WWDC and to say I'm also pretty underwhelmed. Like, I was really excited about that HomePod, except I hate the name, and it's not very cute. And I don't know, I just wish it is pretty high, and having a really fancy speaker isn't as high on my list as maybe it is for some people. I really wanted something like Alexa, which I have, but it doesn't connect to all my iOS stuff, like my list and my music library and things like that. So that, to me, was the biggest draw for it, if it will do all of that. But, I didn't really even see any good demo videos online or anything yet, so I'm unsure. And I also wanted to comment on the sponsor for the show, Texture. I've been using that app for a long time. I'm a magazine lover, and I love that app. I love that I can have all of those magazines instead of just, 3, say, a year. And I love that I don't have them stacked up all over my house because I read them in spurts, like, when you go on vacation or travel or something. So then they're all right there. They're not weighing down my bag. They're not stacking up all over my house. And they recently added an extra feature where you can kind of clip things from magazines and save them to a board. So if you used to rip pages out of magazines, it's like a digital way to do that as well, like recipes, for instance. So anyway, it's really cool, really worth it. I love it. And just wanted to share that with everybody. Thanks for everything you're doing. Talk to you later. Bye.
Well, Laura, thanks for the voicemail message. It's great to hear from you again, and I hope little Finn is doing well. I'm sure he's not so little anymore. And here's some more feedback of Apple's WWDC event. Hi, Rob. Apple's WWDC announcement changes everything. Apple's iOS 11 supporting near-field communication NFC tags means that all iPhone 7 and newer will be able to read NFC tags just like Android. This means most people owning a smartphone, over 2 billion in the world, now have an NFC reader available in their pocket to interact with NFC tags anywhere and at any time. This is the moment many have been waiting for and signals a fundamental change in the industry and for consumers. NFC is now a horizontal technology like Bluetooth, Wi-Fi cameras. It's available, free, and easy to use. How we interact with physical and digital items going forward will change forever. Think explosion of Internet of Things, retail, public transport, automotive, smartphone use cases for consumers. Think of all the companies started on the premise of the universality of NFC, IoT, mobility. Their market has almost doubled overnight. Best regards, Bob from the NFC forum. Well, Bob, thanks for the feedback. And here's what Apple had to say about NFC for iOS 11. Quote, your app can read tags to give users more information about their physical environment and the real-world objects in it. For example, your app might give users information about products they find in a store or exhibits they visit in a museum. Using Core NFC, you can read near-field communication NFC tags of types 1 through 5 that contain data in the NFC Data Exchange Format, NDEF. To read a tag, your app creates an NFC NDEF reader session and provides a delegate a running reader session, polls for NFC tags, and calls the delegate when it finds tags that contain NDEF messages. Passing the message to the delegate can read the message and handle conditions that can cause a session to become invalid. Unquote. But, and it is a big but, and you know how we like big buts around here. But in this case, it is really the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus only that fully and officially support Core NFC per the beta release of iOS 11 at this time. Back to the email bag. Hey Rob, something that hasn't been covered much but is one of my favorite new features in iOS 11 is default support for QR codes built right into the camera app. Now you won't have to find and download a QR code reader, then find and launch the app when you see a QR code. Just launch the camera app, point at the QR code, and it scans automatically. Way easier. By the way, not looking for a plug, so definitely not expecting to read this part on air. But this feature is especially huge for me because one of my businesses is qr-codes.com. That's qr-codes.com. A site for generating and tracking QR codes. I think the biggest hurdle for QR code adoption has always been the processing of finding, downloading, and launching a QR code reader app. And when you just want to read QR codes, having it readily available it's going to be a game changer. Regards, Eric B. And Eric's a longtime listener. So yes, Eric, I will mention your site, qr-codes.com, and I'll put a link to it in the show notes. And good luck with your site. And yes, I agree with you. Now that it's just built right into the app, QR code usage is going to go up tenfold. Okay, I might be a little bit of a tiger dad. For my oldest son, Henry, I have him reading the book Coding iPhone Apps for Kids by No Starch Press. That's Coding iPhone Apps for Kids by No Starch Press. Link in the show notes, and thanks to the folks over there for sending the book to Henry. Each Wednesday and Saturday, Henry has to complete another chapter. So every Wednesday, he's got to complete a chapter. Every Saturday, he has to complete a chapter. If he does not, no electronics until it is done. So far, not been an issue. He's actually ahead. He is enjoying reading it and doing the examples in the book. He is up to chapter 8 already. The book focuses on Swift and is geared towards the younger reader. By the time he is done with this book, he will have created a birthday tracker and a side-scrolling skateboard game. If you have a young one around this summer and are looking for a good book for them to use to learn Swift, check out Coding iPhone Apps for Kids. Again, link in the show notes for episode 431. There were some reports out there recently that Opera was giving up on iOS. It seems those reports may have been premature. There was this response from Opera to the news that they were giving up or abandoning iOS. Quote, it looks that our response on Twitter was misinterpreted. We would like to clarify that Opera does not abandon iOS. On the other hand, we plan to keep developing it as Opera Min provides a unique feature that other browsers do not have, such as data saving for both web page and video, ad blocking, built-in newsfeed, etc., and people love using it. As most of our engineering resources are now on Android, our update on iOS is slow at this moment. Please bear with us and do stay tuned for our next feature update, unquote. Now, to be fair to those that reported this news, the last update for the Opera Mini web browser was June 16th, 2016. Okay, I can see where they say they have not given up on it, but any app used by a lot of people and not updated since before iOS 10 went live, yeah, serious neglect is something Opera is definitely guilty of.
Well, it just so happens that your friend here is only mostly dead. There's a big difference between mostly dead and all dead.
Hello, Rob. Bob from Long Island. I'm a voiceover user running the latest version of iOS on an iPhone SE. And when I create a text message, I dictate the message. When I finish dictation and voiceover reads back the message, it fades out and loses volume and it just disappears. Doesn't finish reading the entire message. I don't know if other voiceover users are experiencing this problem. I reported it to Apple Accessibility, but I wanted to get it out there and see if anybody else is having this issue. Thanks for everything you do, and keep up the good work.
Bob, thanks for the feedback. And if anyone else is having this problem, or more importantly, anyone else had this problem and found a solution to it, please let us know. Give us a call, 206-666-6364. That's 206-MOONDOG. Or shoot an email to todayinios@gmail.com. Back to the email bag. Hi, Rob. I have an interesting issue. For the past 3 months, my iPhone 7 will play sounds like they are fragmented. If I reboot the phone, it goes away. Eventually, it comes back. It seems very random why it happens. I am running iOS 10.3.2, hoping that would have fixed the issue, but it didn't. Have you heard of this, or someone else in your audience heard of it? Help. Regards, Andy. Andy, sorry to hear about the issue. If anyone has had this problem where all of a sudden the audio just starts getting fragmented and silent, give us a call or shoot us an email and let us know if you had this problem and, of course, how you fixed it. Do you think I look fat in this?
It's nice of you to ask, Robert, but it doesn't really matter what I think.
Do you think I look fat in this?
I think, therefore I am. But let's not put the cart before the horse.
Do you think I look fat in this?
I really couldn't say.
Do I look fat in this?
You tell me. I can't see you.
Do I look fat in this?
My instructors always told me never to answer this question.
Do I look fat in this?
Based on your above-average corporeal thermal dissipation, I'd say you're rather hot.
Do I look fat in this?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'll bet you're a 42.
Do I look fat in this?
A correlation of the available spatio-temporal, semantic, and conversational evidence supports the provisional conclusion that you're totally hot, plus or minus 1 standard cuteness deviation.
Thanks again to Bombfell for sponsoring this episode. Again, for $25 off your first purchase, go to bombfell.com/TII. That's BOMBFELL.com/TII for that $25 discount on your first order. Before we go today, I want to remind you to send in your feedback to the show, 206-666-6364. That's 206-MOONDOG, or record your feedback and email to the show at todayinios@gmail.com. Feedback can be a question or comment for something someone said on this episode, or it can be a question or rant about something else, an app, a product review, good or bad. As long as it is iOS related, it is welcomed. I'm always looking for more new artwork to feature on the show that you've created on iOS device. Just put some TII branding on it and send it in. And of course, we're always looking for more music that's created on iOS device to play on the show. It's your show, and your feedback is greatly desired. Don't forget to check out our Google Plus moderated community by going to todayinios.com/community. Thanks again to Storyworth for sponsoring this episode. Father's Day is almost here. Get your dad and yourself and your kids the best Father's Day present ever. Please go to storyworth.com/TII to save $20 off the purchase price. Finally, check out the newly updated TII app, which is free to you. Search for TII in the iTunes App Store. It's the best way to consume the show and to get push notifications each time a new episode of TII is released. It is fully voiceover friendly, of course. For this latest update, we completely redid the push notifications, so you should be getting push notifications if you are signed up for them. This is a huge improvement in how they used to go out. It fixes other issues. So go right now, download and update the TII app, or just get it for the first time. Until the next time, I'm your host, Rob, reminding you to phone different. This show is hosted on Libsyn.com and part of the Wizard Media Network. If you are looking for hosting, go to Libsyn.com. That's Libsyn.com for hosting for your podcast and for creation of your own smartphone app. The Today in iOS podcast can also be found on the free Stitcher radio app. Just search for TII.
Rob, good morning. Good morning, iOS fans. This is Wynn calling from Aspen, Colorado, and I have cerebral palsy, and when you mentioned the scanning feature in the Notes app on iOS 11, I got so excited because I'm also using assistive technology to go back to school in the fall. I'm pursuing my fashion journalism degree, and so they're going to be handing me a bunch of paperwork that now I don't necessarily have to deal with. Although, do you think the scanning apps will work with HP Office Jet printer, or do you think I should still use the HP Office Jet app on my phone? It's a flatbed scanner, so I don't know, but this is a huge relief to me, and so I got really excited, so I can't wait to get my hands on an iPad and see what it can do to change my life and all the other users that use assistive technology. Thanks, Rob. Keep up the great work. Bye.